¿Qué onda, Mina? Welcome back to Mons. For those of you who are brand new, this is my Japan travel series where I talk about my first experience traveling to Japan. So today is day 4, and I had pretty simple plans. I wanted to go to Koishikawa Korakuen, Sunshine City, and I'm going to be talking about a little bit about my fear of boredom, which ended up happening towards the end of the day. If you guys remember day 3, you would know that I was completely exhausted the day before, so I ended up waking fairly late today. So I had to get going a little faster than usual. So because my first goal was the Koishikawa Korakuen, I needed to go to Iidabashi Station. I was kind of surprised how nice this station was. I knew Ikebukoro would probably be somewhat nice, but I wasn't expecting how nice the station, like the actual station itself, to be. There were more areas or specific places that I wish I ended up looking into a little more, but from the photos that I took, I think I was pretty satisfied with the view that I got. There's a lot of like buildings next to rivers, a lot of cool bridges to walk around. It was a nice looking area. So there was something that caught my eye as I was walking from Iidabashi Station to the Koishikawa Park, and there was this place that is called Plano Iidabashi. I looked on Google, and apparently it's some kind of mall. At least that's what the name entails. But I think people were gonna go to a pachinko area, which I didn't know at the time. At the time passing it by. So this was a Saturday morning. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that there was a line for people getting into entertainment. But I guess it's a little sad knowing that it's a pachinko parlor. But this line really dragged on. I think it went nearly around that red building that you're seeing on the picture. Now, this did remind me of one thing that Hirone told me one time. So when me and Hirone were hanging out way before I traveled to Japan, she was talking about the idea of lines in Japan and how they mean something differently. In the States, if we see a long line, that discourages us usually from wanting to go to that area because the wait is too much. However, in a Japanese mindset, because that place has a long line, it means it's popular for a reason, so that inclines Japanese people to stand in line and make the line even longer. Which kind of makes sense. It's kind of weird how both mindsets work, and yet I'm kind of stubborn and staying in my own circle. It's weird how that works. It's pretty interesting. How was the actual park itself? There wasn't anything too interesting to note. It was just kind of a really nice park overall. I guess not being from an extremely urban area, it was a little strange seeing a park next to skyscrapers. When I usually think of a park, I usually only intend to see trees and mountains. It could also be that the area I'm from, cities and parks, at least parks this big, aren't normal. If you're in New York, I'm sure this is something that you see all the time. The park itself was fine. I was mostly here to kind of get a grasp on what the historical stuff looks like, and that part was really cool. Seeing how some of these houses were kind of built and what material they use and the structure of them, it was pretty neat seeing how it all worked out. There wasn't too many off-limit areas, which is something else that surprised me. I guess it's important for me to add that if you do want to go to this park, that there is a entrance fee, although it isn't expensive. I believe it was like, I want to say 500 yen. I can't quite remember how much it was. And once I got out of that park, there was 2 different ways I could have gone. I could have gone right, which would have been a more exhausting exit to go all the way back to Iidabashi Station, or I could have gone left, which was something new, and it seemed a little shorter to the next nearby station I was looking at. So I decided to go left, and little to my knowledge, that's exactly where the Tokyo Dome was. Since it was Saturday, it is safe to assume that there was some sort of event, but because the place was crowded with people walking around everywhere. I was kind of like in the back areas where like security people were like guarding it there, but it seems they paid no attention to me, so I don't think I was breaking any rules. And once I got into the main area of the Tokyo Dome, there was a bunch of carnival rides and everything, and that's when a huge crowd of people really started to show up. I want to say it was a music event, though I really couldn't tell. And as I walked through this Tokyo Dome, I also found I didn't take a picture of it, but there was a building that was specifically dedicated to Japanese and Chinese relationships, which I found pretty odd. Now, I normally would have thought that Japanese and Chinese relationships were kind of tense, but it seems like they're getting along according to this building. A secondary thought that I would have is this building damage control for whenever Chinese people strain stuff on Japanese people? I don't know. It was just a very odd building because I didn't see anything like, I don't know. I didn't exactly see something like a Korean or Chinese relation building or in a Canadian Chinese relation building. I don't know. I guess it's all relative, I suppose. I eventually did get on the train to Sunshine City. On this particular day, I didn't take too many pictures of some of the non-Sunshine City buildings that I went to. I did go to the animate ones and a couple of the neighboring buildings that were next to it. And the place was all right. It's very fandom focused. I don't know. It's not like Akihabara, where Akihabara everything. It feels like there's everything in Akihabara, and the niches kind of fill the gaps between the popular places. But this place felt like it was specifically appealing to the people who really like collecting stuff like stickers and pins. I don't know if that really paints a picture, but there's a specific group that I think about when they dedicate their entire time not buying any figures or any games or anything really expensive. It's always the very cheap pins and stickers. In fact, when I was walking to there was one girl with a transparent bag that was showing off all her pins, and she had like, I don't know, I want to say like 200 pins of the same character. I don't know who this male character was. I'm gonna assume it was his Bondo, but very, very different from Akihabara, I'd say. It isn't to my taste, though. Now, for the reason I wanted to go to Sunshine City itself, besides, checking it off my list, is that I did find this restaurant that offered really good-looking tonkatsu. However, because it was Saturday, it was a bit more of a social day than usual. So when I went in, everyone that was in the tonkatsu place was either on a date or with family. And here I am, a solo foreigner, or at least foreign-looking guy, just going alone in a Japanese family restaurant. The tonkatsu was good, don't get me wrong, but it was a strange sight. You did have to like sign up for it in a line form or whatever, but I don't know. I forgot exactly how that experience went. It was kind of a blur to me. What I did remember though is that I did want to explore the mall more, but I did screw up a little bit when I was ordering the tonkatsu stuff, or at least there was a bit of a language barrier that was very visible with the waitress. Combined with the exhaustion I had with walking around, I guess I just really didn't want to deal with any more language barriers than I did already. So I stayed on top of Sunshine City for a bit and just kind of thought about things. Even though in one of my earlier videos I emphasized being prepared, this wasn't me at this state. I kind of just wanted to go into Japan, had a few plans, and then just figure it out from there. I was told Japan, it was specifically Tokyo. Tokyo was a very easy city to try to get lost in. And I don't think that's completely true. I think having a little bit of guidance always helps, especially when there's such a language barrier between you and the people who live there. So if so far you guys have watched each one of my videos, there's always been a point where I screwed up and a language barrier discouraged me from doing something. And I really got tired of feeling this way because it was my trip. And I was kind of scared to get bored, as weird as that sounds, because I shouldn't be. It's my trip. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of rambling. I guess the point I really wanted to get at is it's okay to feel a little bored on your trip, because those moments are kind of time to breathe and really reflect on yourself. Because it was this moment of boredom where I kind of just let the boredom sink in and made me think what I need to do. And that thing was I wanted to over-prepare and have everything planned out. I guess you can say that being on top of Sunshine City kind of was a turning point in how I conduct myself as an adult. I don't know. It's very strange having this revelation. Of course, there's other things that triggered this along the way and kept it going, but I think this was the very first breaking point where I realized like I need to schedule things. I need to actually. I can't just let things ride anymore. So yeah, sorry about this rambly portion. I kind of just wanted to talk about it real quick. And yeah, after that self-reflecting, I just wanted to get back home and make sure that my trip is planned out perfectly, or at least have plenty of fallbacks with it. I did go to the konbini to get some food, and I did find these really cool cough drops that had the Asian Kung Fu Generation artist on it, and I really wish I bought these just for the art alone. I thought they were really cool, but I don't know, I guess I thought it'd be weird buying cough drops, but honestly, who cares? Buying little things like these are always neat because they're pretty low risk, in my opinion. So yeah, the rest of my night was just me planning out the next phases of my trip. So upon reflection, the fourth day ended on a low, but it was an important low. It was pretty cool seeing the park and Sunshine City, but I started to see the patterns of all the obstacles that were in my way for enjoying my trip fully. And this is where my pushiness in telling you, the audience, of plan out things more precisely comes from. Alright, so I'm getting pretty tired of feeling emotionally vulnerable. So let's just move on to today's lesson. Let's see. There is a quote I always try to remember, which is kind of in tandem to what happened today. Remember the lesson, not the disappointment. Thanks for stopping by, Mons. Don't get lost out there. Mata ne.